Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello and welcome to episode 342 of the Anfield Index podcast. I'm your host, Trev Downey, podcasting from my field here in beautiful rural Ireland. I'm joined tonight by my colleagues Lisa Marie Hanahan and Guy Drinkle. As we look forward to getting back to the real business of football, we're going to have a little bit of chat about the aftermath of the international break as well. And we may, if we have time, get back to a couple of questions that came in last week from some people on Twitter. So we shall see how the show pans out. We'll start off as usual with our red story of the week, whatever that is for you, and we'll take it from there. We're going to have quite a loose, jazzy feel to this particular episode. In fact, I've left it specifically that way so that I can open up various tabs and various websites and throw things at you and see how you get on. My only football this week has been listening to the likes of young Drinkle there and young Hendrick as they talk about what's going on, because I have zoned out 100% since the beginning of last week. Last week itself, total write-off for me in terms of football, with family stuff that was quite time heavy and heavy in general. This week, it was voluntary. But that said, I'm very much looking forward to getting back into it. We have a game tomorrow. Hopefully, if you're listening to this, you will get a chance to listen to it before the game. Obviously, we're back in action, 3 o'clock Saturday kickoff, nice and traditional. I see the Reds back in action. I think we're all looking forward to seeing that. And we'll have a little bit of a chat about how we think that's going to go. But we'll try and keep it general and not that match specific, because as usual, we want this show to have a life as the week goes on. So I will, before I go round to talk to my pals, get you going this week, folks, with 3 minutes, which I think I've played for you before. But, you know, sometimes it's very important to start the show with a bit of heavy-duty philosophy. I think, you know, when times are tough, it's nice to have a voice of wisdom to reassure you. And here we have the legend that is Carl Pilkington, giving us some thoughts about the future. And it's on those by now legendary podcasts with Ricky Gervais and Stephen Merchant. I'm almost positive I've clipped this before, but I'm sure you won't be opposed to the following 3 minutes. So strap in for a bit of wisdom from Carl. I'm going to cut it short. It goes on, but we'll play the 3 minutes or so.
All right, I'm Carl. And the future.
He's already gone off-road.
It's a scary place. But the future's going to happen. Right? There's no getting away from that.
Yep. Okay, your predictions are?
Well, we're all...
It's not a soundbite.
Give me space. It's in the book. I've got to think about...
Okay. Think first. Think and then say it. Okay, starting from now. These words of wisdom will be inscribed on a wall of a museum one day. Proceed.
I think trousers are going to be stopped being made. Just because you see kids now, they've got pants around their ankles. They're going further and further down. So I think that's evolution, just getting rid of the trouser.
Right.
It's just dropping naturally.
That's the evolution of the trouser, because it's dropping incrementally
you see now,
down the arse.
Kids' underpants, so they're just dropping.
Yeah.
I think they'll get to a point when they just don't bother wearing them anymore.
Right.
Prediction 1.
Okay,
That's an amazing one.
They'll stop making trousers in the future. Okay.
We're going to get weaker. That's already happened.
Mm-hmm.
They used to say, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Now they're saying eat 5 fruits.
Right.
So we've definitely, that's evidence. You can't argue with that. I'll probably put that first because it goes, right, what's number 2? So swap that round.
Okay, that's number 1.
Give them the pants second.
Yep. I'm going to die. Okay, number 3. Say, an apple a day, keep the doctor away. They used to say, pull your trousers up. No, they say, put them down, you can. Number 3. Right, number 3. Oh, the scholars are now waiting with bated breath when they find this old scroll, and they go, "Ooh, what can number 3 be?"
I reckon we'll blend all our food.
Oh, God! He got me! He was going to make a point about race! What do you think I give it that AIP? We'll blend all our food! like they do for babies, you mean?
I just think, when you think about all the stuff we eat now, cavemen chewing on big lumps of meat.
Yeah.
We had wisdom teeth.
Yep.
Now they say, take them out, you're not using them.
Yep.
Why not using them? Because your food's soft.
Yep.
Sorbet.
Yep.
Soups. Everything's softer,
Just
isn't it?
those
When you get an
two,
avocado, they say, is it soft? Everyone's squeezing the food before they buy it.
Yeah.
No one wants anything tough.
Yeah.
So I think chewing is a sort of
It's a thing of the
past. We haven't got the time to chew. Everyone's like, hurry up, eat that. You don't have to go out for dinner with Ricky. He's like, hurry up. I'm still eating.
Well, he does blend his food, I think. Okay, so blending food. Great.
I think you should quit while we're behind there, Carl. I remember when I heard those first, I just played them back to myself endlessly because I do love that dynamic, I have to say. So hopefully that gave people a laugh because it's badly needed these days. Guy Drinkle, you have been a source of great entertainment for us over the last week, and actually, it seems to have taken on legs. This little corner of expertise that you've opened up, because I see now you are helping out young Kopak in his extracurricular conversations and referring him to your specialized knowledge when he's debating with his pals. Yeah. So this is like I said, it's got legs at this stage. So what is the latest installment you've got for us, my friend?
We had an ambitious crossover last week.
We did.
We have another one. I'll read the description first, and this just warms into it. After an accidental explosion at a local mine, dinosaurs emerge from the rubble to terrorise a small western town. Now a group of gunslingers must defend their home if anyone is going to survive in a battle of cowboys versus dinosaurs.
Oh, God, I love this. I absolutely love this concept. Cowboys versus dinosaurs. And is it a period piece?
It is. It's
yes.
2015. Modern day cowboys, actually, I should say.
Modern day cowboys. So they've actually got...
It's not like the 1880s.
No, this is modern. This is modern. For some reason they've got an AK-47, which I don't...
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because I don't like your chances against the T-Rex with a Winchester repeating rifle. So this is good. Okay, so they've got some heavy duty stuff. This is great. Yeah. It's already feeling quite late period Walking Dead, where they just seem to shoot guns relentlessly. Give us more. I need to know more.
So it's got a 2.17 rating on IMDb. It stars Eric Roberts, who I'm sure you may not recognise by name, but you will recognise him. He's in, from my knowledge, Batman Begins. He plays
He's also Julia Roberts' older brother.
Oh.
He's known as television's Eric Roberts. If you want to get it right, yeah, there you go.
Yes, absolutely. Also known as Jurassic Hunters, just so people don't miss out on this beautiful film. There isn't too much, but I have watched the trailer and it looks amazing with a capital shit. I will read one review from you from IMDb.
Yeah.
Is this really a professionally made film? Please don't put yourself through the pain. It's so terrifyingly bad. Don't you want to watch it much more now?
I think that's nailed it for me completely.
Yeah.
You know what? There's a beautiful crossover here because I was very tempted to play the trailer from a film called Blackbird, which is, for those of you, not the TV series, which has been quite acclaimed recently, but rather the motion picture, which was written, produced, directed, and starring Michael Flatley of Riverdance. And it was some amount of years in the making and got released recently. And it's basically him as some sort of a James Bond knockoff spy. And it stars television Eric Roberts. So I do like that a lot. But the trailer doesn't. You have to see it to get the full cheese factor. So if you are looking for a follow up, if you're in the mood for some Drinkle-esque entertainment in terms of this particular segment, then do follow up by looking at the trailer to Blackbird, starring Michael Flatley, written by Michael Flatley, directed by Michael Flatley, produced by Michael Flatley, in a Michael Flatley production of Michael Flatley's Blackbird.
Is this a serious film or is it a parody?
Oh no, it's so fucking serious, guy.
Oh my God.
He means the shit out of it. He means the shit out of it.
This is like scene for scene Connery level Bond.
Yes, I mean, like, he really cares. He's acting his little head off, and it's gloriously awful. Just in the trailer. I mean, I can't wait to see the full thing. So tremendous. Thank you so much for that, guy. I do really value and treasure this cultural segment as we move forward. Alicia Marie, I know that you have something by way of a sort of a quote or a little reference to something that you want to start the show with.
Yeah, I just wanted to share with everybody that I hit a personal milestone this week. As of 25 years ago yesterday, I started working in my current job, or for my current company. I'm in a slightly different position than when I started. I started as like the, girl Friday, answering phones, doing administrative tasks kind of things, and moved into associate project manager, et cetera, et cetera. So 25 years ago, I answered an ad in a newspaper for what was supposed to be a temporary job. And yeah, I'm still there. So more than half my life. People have left. No one is still there that was there when I started. In fact, the ownership has even changed. I don't even work for the same people anymore. But yeah, 25 years at Partners Healthcare Group.
That is a hell of a milestone. I mean, I remember passing through that in my career, but not in the same place. So I started, if you can believe this, teaching in 1995. Way too early. I was still only 22. But I did. So that's a lot of years I've been doing that now. What is that? Oh my God, that's way too many. Jesus Christ, I've scared the shit out of myself.
It's 27.
Oh, I've scared the crap out of myself there. So yeah, it's 27 years. And I do remember that year where I was 25 and thinking, like, I mean, there's loads of people I know who haven't been alive that long.
Right. I mean, I wasn't married. I wasn't even actually engaged, although I was dating my now husband. But yeah, so, my name has changed. I've, of course, had 3 children, just, yeah. So it's kind of put me in a very just sort of contemplative mood
yes.
The last day or so. Maybe a little bit on the edge of depression. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah,
but,
I hear you.
So anyway, so that's where I've been. And I did travel this week. I actually went to North Carolina for approximately 28 hours, out one day, back the next. But yeah. So, yeah.
Well, you do get to do quite a lot of that with that work of yours, to be fair.
I do. Well, not nearly as much as I used to, quite honestly. But and actually the end of this month, the end of October, I'm going to be in Las Vegas for a week. I'm not looking forward to it at all, but I am going to be there. So
Will you have any downtime to go and
Probably not. No.
shoot some craps?
No,
or whatever.
We honestly
whatever.
probably won't. And I've done that before. I for years I had a project. Well, it was a series of projects at a hospital that was about 2 hours south of Las Vegas, and you used to have to fly into Vegas and then drive. And so we used to, stay at one of the casinos on the Strip because it's cheap and whatever. And so I mean, I've done that over the years where go down and shoot craps or play roulette or whatever while we were waiting for, dinner at whatever restaurant we had a reservation at and stuff. But now it's just kind of like, I've been there, done that. It's not really very interesting to me.
Look at you, world weary traveler.
Right.
Remarkable.
Hey, but I've got other travel coming up too, Trev, but we'll just leave it at that.
Yes. More of which and on. At least you still do look like a Bronte sister. So you've got that. You've got that to hang on to.
You're very, very kind to say so. Yes. I mean, I guess I neglected to add that I did start this job when I was 12.
Yeah, of course. I'm glad you got that in at the end. Guy, you strike me as a guy who's been to who's done a stint in Vegas at some point on a trip. Have you?
I have not left Europe, Mr. Downey.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
Okay. I just don't know why. I had that Vegas vibe from you. I thought it might have been a sort of a ladsy thing at some point.
Have you ever been, Trevor?
A huge amount of people I know have done it. I've never done it. No,
Don't do it. Don't.
It's not. Honestly,
it's overrated.
Yeah, it's literally nothing. It's nothing I would really want to do. I'd be curious.
I've done a casino in Stockton, which is basically the same. Yes, indeed, Stockton. Yes, that sounds like it's got the same cachet, no doubt about it. We have football back, my friends, and it's great and it's good.
Woo-hoo!
And I am excited about it. And I didn't think I would be because, like I say, I had leaned very much into the little bit of a break. And I'm listening to young Hendrik and young Guy there on various shows. And I'm not getting the optimistic vibe that I thought I would. I think Dave was asked a question. Oh, no, he wasn't asked a question. No, it was just like he was reading an article. Oh, God, I can't remember who the author was, but the basic. Oh, was it Joanna Durkin? I think it was Joanna Durkin.
I think she was featured today, if it was today's show.
Yeah, it was the most recent one. And the gist of it was, here's some things to look forward to. That was the gist of the article. And, football's back and here's some things. And we get to play these people. And we got Rangers twice. And we've got City coming up. And poor old Dave was like, I don't really feel it too excited. It was so downbeat. I felt sorry for him. And I totally get it. But I've had it long enough away that my batteries are recharged. So I will try to be the positivity vibe, both in this show and on Raw for a while at least, until they beat it out of us, if they do. I have a feeling that there is something that can happen to rescue this season, but I am still, I think the last few weeks have been quite frustrating on a number of levels. And this is where I want to start, Guy. Because, as someone who's been hooked into the news, I don't remember Dave chatting about it. Maybe you did on some of your other shows. But you hear things like, was it today it broke or yesterday it broke that, Christopher Nkunku is all lined up for Chelsea. Mm-hmm. And, they have that feel. It has that feel of, again, this is going back a bit, but I remember the AC Milan team, in the late 80s into 1990, 1991, they basically stockpiled players. Marseille did it again 5 years after that. And it's been a sort of a trend where successful clubs just pile on. City have done it to an extent, but not to the extent I think that most of us thought they might. Don't get me wrong, they have a fabulous squad. But it hasn't had that sort of obnoxious feel to it that I thought it could get to at one point. Newcastle don't currently appear to be going that way. City, when they started with their new owners, certainly had that feel of just stockpiling and throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what would stick. And it made me feel, Guy, I am getting to a question, that it made me feel just a bit of disquietude, a little bit of worry and angst about, all the things that we've spoken about endlessly over the summer and into the early part of the season, when the form wasn't great and there was frustration around the midfield and the lack of transfers and all that. And I had a little bit of a whiff of that. And I'm wondering, how do you cope with what other clubs are doing, as in terms of not letting it get to you when it comes to how you're feeling about our club? Or do you think that's actually possible to separate the two?
It's an odd one, because I've solely only looked at City since we became good, because they're the only teams that mattered. I know we finished third once, but we had no defenders, so yeah, I don't think that really counts. But you look, I think Haaland's the worst example, because as soon as they announced him, I think everyone was like, he'll get injured at some point and he'll probably score a lot of goals. I don't think anyone expected him to score 1 million goals in 3 games, which he has done. So, yeah, that one is a bit of a worry, especially nobody wants to compare him and Darwin, but you have to, because we're the 2 best teams in the league, in the country. We both bought a number 9. Ooh, look at us, we're going back to having a striker. He's obviously set the world alight, and Darwin headbutted someone on his second game. But when you look at Man United, Casemiro, yeah, cool, don't care. Chelsea's an interesting one, because I think they have the facilities, the experience of winning stuff. Their business, it's just a bit odd. Like, they never seem to address what I feel like is their biggest issue. So I don't really see them as a threat. Spurs, I think as soon as Conte goes, they'll go back to where they normally are. So that'll be next season, because why would Conte stay at Spurs? Arsenal or Arsenal. So yeah, I'm still stuck in that mould where I'm only really looking at City. And it is depressing, because they go out and sign the hottest property in the world, whereas we do sign a hot property, but maybe we overpaid on him and it's at the detriment of other areas of our team. Whereas I know at City, this is like the first time they've ever had to sell people, because I think Haaland's deal is about 200 odd million all in or something like that. But yeah, I still only really focus on them, and I think I say this every time. I still thought we'd win the league before the season started. So I'm not sure if we still can, but I think we can still claw them back to a certain degree. But yeah, transfers is one thing, but we just got the lads that are already here is probably the biggest point, because I think everyone expects us to do stuff in January, but I'm doing air quotes. We're waiting for Jude. So what's going to change in January? I mean, Dortmund will still have something to play for, so maybe we don't do anything in January. So I think most importantly, we've got to get Elliott up to speed with being a midfielder. We've got to get Henderson back to being a professional footballer. Get Jones in the team, etc. Wrap Thiago in all the bubble wrap. I think that's probably what I'm looking at more now than transfers.
Yeah, I think that's fair, and Lisa Marie, like if I see where guys go with that, because if you do analyze all the individual clubs, you can come to quite rational conclusions about why all bar City should not really be, a threat on that level. But there's still a degree of existential angst that goes with it for me, because there's a further complication. There's a further wrinkle here. And it's not just about what other people are or aren't doing. And I think I fully go along with the rationale guys got there when you look at the different clubs and you can pick apart their strategy and what they're actually capable of. And it can be quite consoling and calming, or at least it would be if we were in half decent form at all. But what the further wrinkle, really, the thing that leads you to feel, or at least me, to feel a little bit uneasy as we go into this really exciting spell of, a game every day, it might as well be, is the lack of or the ongoing nonsense about that seems to be being leaked via the usual sources, Jimmy Pierce and the likes, of how the one big the news that's coming in, filtering in day by day about Liverpool will have rivals for Jude Bellingham. Liverpool are not going to pay beyond X amount for Jude Bellingham. And now, Liverpool are going to find it very hard to get Jude Bellingham because there are all these other clubs who want him and they are not going to go beyond X amount, which won't get him. And it just feels quite deflating because the whole fucking point, excuse my French, of our so-called manoeuvring or lack of it was, don't worry, lads, we have the big one in the bag for next year. Now, maybe I shouldn't be reading James Pierce's tweets. Maybe I shouldn't be reading Twitter. Maybe I should just read a book. But I find that just unsettling, and I don't want to be that guy, Lisa Marie, but I'm finding it hard not to be. How are you coping with that? Same question I asked Guy, except with that little extra wrinkle.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from because I've been along the same lines where you see these tweets, you see these headlines of articles wherever, and it's like, but I've gotten to where I don't even read past the headline or whatever, and I think, you know what? Do they really know? Is this someone who really knows anything, or are they just trying to, fill column space to meet their, quotas or whatnot? And so yeah, and it's the same thing with, we talked about off and on, over the summer and even back in, January about transfers and things. Is for my own sort of mental well-being, I generally try not to get too wrapped up into what might be until something actually happens. Now that's so much easier said than done. I think I did a lot better job of it back in January than I did this summer. I found myself going down the rabbit holes this summer and getting a little bit too involved. So I'm going to try to be better now. Wean myself off the crack, if you will. Crack is a drug, not fun. Not the way you Irish use it.
No, never wean yourself off the crack with a CRAIC. Jesus Christ.
That's right.
The world is hard enough without weaning yourself off the crack.
Exactly. I like to use it that way, but that's how it's generally referred to over on this side of the pond. So anyway, back to your question. I managed to get lovely sidetracked. But I do agree with what Guy was saying is, City is kind of the one traditionally, probably until the last year, that I paid more attention to the players they were getting in and how, they lined up against what we had lined up. But, and then, of course, we've seen Manchester United throw all the money in the world at their problems, but none of it fits. We've talked about that off and on, that, they keep bringing these players in, but there seems to be no rhyme or reason as to why they're doing it. And Chelsea seems to be doing sort of similar. Now, that may change now with Graham Potter. I don't know. Because Thomas Tuchel seemed like, he was a man with a plan. So I don't know. I think it's a combination of the new ownership and, who knows what the heck they've got going on over there. So I'm not really worried about Chelsea. Cause I think there's just a lot of background noise, if you will, that has to be sorted before they can, really be as much of a threat as they were maybe a season or so ago. And what was your original question? I don't know. I'm just rambling and I've completely forgotten.
No. You're on track. I
I'm
suppose.
on track. Okay, good.
Because basically, what it was to get a feeling of how we are looking ahead to this sequence, which is between now and December, really. That's what we've got to think about. It's a set of fixtures that is, it's quite intimidating. I won't lie to you. I look at it and I think it's intimidating. And that, I think, speaks volumes that I'm saying that phrase, because for the longest time, the key repeated phrase on Malby on the spot with myself and the big man was, well, we're not really afraid of anyone, are we? Or, well, if we play to our best, we can beat anyone, can't we? And that was generally the lovely, reassuring default setting.
Yes.
I think that's been rattled out of all of us with the opening to the season.
I would agree with that. And, you know, and I was thinking earlier today, just kind of getting into the mindset for this podcast, was that, you know, Liverpool started the season so flat, you know, and which was bizarre because we were all so excited going into it. I was thinking back to the couple of podcasts we had that we did, you know, ahead of the season starting, and we were all up for it. We were like, yeah, this is going to be great. You know, as Guy said, you know, when he was doing the, you know, predictions with Dave and whoever, that, you know, that he had Liverpool winning the league. And, you know, we were all had, you know, we had every, you know, just, it all looked lined up that this was going to be a fantastic season for us, coming off the back of what we did last season and everything else. And then, you know, those first couple matches just sort of sucked all the joy out of it for any of us. And so it almost feels like with this, you know, what, basically a month almost away from playing, it almost feels like we're restarting the season. It's almost like it started again. And I hope to God that it's starting again, and it will start again the way we hoped it was going to start back in August. You know, where we just, you know, take off like a house of fire and everyone gets out of our way. But, you know, I don't know. I mean, that's, you know, I want to believe that, but there's still that little voice in the back of my head that's like, but maybe not.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point, and that's where I want to go to with Guy next, because looking at these fixtures, man, it's a remarkable run up until the World Cup break. So we start obviously against Brighton on Saturday. We then have Rangers, Arsenal, Rangers, City, West Ham, Forest, Ajax, Leeds. Now we're at 1st of November, where we play Napoli in what will probably be a crunch Champions League game at home. Now we're into 6th of November, and we are away at Spurs. We have a Carabao Cup game. Who cares? But it's going to be a game we have to play, 9th of November. We then have on the 12th of November, to finish this sequence, a home game against Southampton. Before the whole thing closes down, the shop is shuttered, and we don't return until what you lot over there call Boxing Day, what we call St. Stephen's Day, the 26th of December, where we go away to Villa Park. Now, by anyone's reckoning, that's a hell of a run of games. There are no breaks. It's just constant football. It's exciting for the reason that Lisa Marie outlined, Guy, because it does feel like a reboot. I am enthused by the fact that there are people on the way back. I wish they were a bit fucking further back than they are, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm still a little bit frustrated around the vagueness, but I understand it, and I would prefer it to constant leaks, I have to say. So we can go with that. So we do have, like I say, people making a way back towards the team. We had the confirmation that our new Scottish fullback is in fact real. We have the likes of Ibu Konate coming back. We have Curtis Jones theoretically on his way back as well. There's an article there on the website today, the official site, where Kloppo's got loads of chat. Robbo, Curtis Jones, Naby Keita and Ox obviously still out. Queeveen Kelleher and Ramsey are probably going to play for the 21s. And Klopp reckons some are doing rehab. That's Robbo, that's Curtis, that's Ox, that's Naby. Those four, he reckons, are doing rehab. And again, that's delightfully vague. Nunez, Diaz, Jota, he says they came back from international duty. How they owes his long flight, blah, blah, blah. Luis only landed Thursday morning. I don't think that's going to matter to him. Like, he's our war machine. He'll be okay, I hope. Diogo Jota as well is comparatively robust. He says Calvin Ramsey's not ready to play, but he's delighted. He's over the moon that he can train. Oh, so, it's qualified good news. It does have that reboot feeling. I'm looking at stuff from around the training ground, and Klopp, I could be just reading into this guy, but he seems a little bit more himself. He's looking relaxed. He's having a crack with the likes of Costas about his top knot. And you're just going, okay, maybe this is a reboot. Maybe the man himself, who was looking increasingly fucking frazzled, if we're being perfectly honest, and not really seeming himself, and saying daft things like maybe we need to reinvent ourselves to reporters after matches. Maybe he just needed a bit of a rest. Maybe this will really help everybody. Nunes is coming back, having gotten his goal, seeing as everybody is constantly playing his misses from training, the sad bastards. So what are we thinking? Should we be upbeat and optimistic? I mean, surely we can't. Surely we've no choice but to be, guy.
Well, the Ajax game certainly helped in that regard. Because if we came in on a draw, a draw may have not been the end of the world, but if we came in on a loss in that Ajax game, I think we'd all be like, yeah, I miss international football somehow. Which should never be said.
Yeah.
But it would have been true. But yeah, we are looking in a more positive place, I suppose, or more relaxed place. But maybe Klopp just couldn't be arsed with the transfer window, because it's asked every press conference, who you signing a midfielder, is Jude Bellingham coming, blah blah blah. And then it obviously kind of exploded, and when we scrambled around and got Arthur, who might actually exist now. But yeah, I suppose we are. But the only negative is we're getting all these players back. But even if they miss 2 weeks, that's probably 4 games. If they miss another 2 weeks, that's 4 games. And some of them are important, or some of them are really important, especially when the season's busy and we have a game every 3 seconds, because we know the rotation needed in midfield, etc. But I feel like we're finally settling into something, because we have Matip back at centre-back, Ibu probably not. I think people said he'd be on the bench for this game, but we can get that rotation back. That worked really well last season with him and Matip in that role. Van Dijk will probably play every one of them games apart from any dead rubbers in the Champions League and the Derby game in the Carabao. But yeah, we do look at a more positive position because, well, we have Thiago. I think we always say this. When Thiago's fit, play games. Just play the games whilst he's fit, because his injuries are random. Obviously, overplaying him won't help, but we have to do what we have to do. And until Naby's back, Curtis Jones is back, we don't really have anyone else for that role. So, yeah, and it's a weird one because obviously we'll talk about the Brighton game in a bit, and more focused in a min, but it's an interesting one because there's loads of question marks about us, but they've got a brand new manager who seemingly plays 4 at the back rather than 3 at the back. Maybe, I have no idea. I'm just going off what Dave said. Plays slightly different to Potter. So it's an odd game to come back to. You almost kind of wish we came back to a Leicester or, well, we've already played Bournemouth, but whoever the hell, West Ham have been dreadful recently. But coming back to Brighton when we don't know anything, how much they've changed, etc. It's a real weird game to come back to.
It is, and you touched on somebody there in terms of a mention that kind of encapsulates, I think, an awful lot of the frustration that we've all been feeling, as last season petered out is cruel, but it did, and last minute it may have been, but still it was. It was hard to take. I found it really hard to take. I'll be completely honest with you. I'm still pretty shook by that. I can't find any. I'm not one of these. I think I'm not one of these guys who can just say, "Wasn't it great that we got to
the Wolves
take
game?"
part?
Still haunts me.
Yeah, we played all the games. Wasn't that great? And how many other people have done that? That literally gives me no joy at all. If we don't win a thing, that's what we're about. That's all I care about. So in that period of time, though, we saw the enigmatic figure that is Curtis Jones miss a lot of time. And he missed a lot of time this season as well. I think if you add up the games missed last year with the eye and COVID and everything, and this year with whatever the hell it is, because I actually don't know what Curtis's injury is, it's probably coming up on 4 to 5 months, that he's been unavailable. And so you've got this kid who would have been ideal and really, really would have taken the pressure off the likes of Harvey Elliott and absolutely, and Carvalho, in terms of the two young lads having to be great immediately, and we absolutely could have spelled Milner out more and had someone to rotate with Jordan and so on and so forth. But no, we didn't have that option, and I think it's real. Look, it could be just it is bad luck. But I'm wondering how you're feeling about the whole Curtis Jones thing, because I know as the season was about to start and the transfer window was about to open, there was a lot of chat, especially amongst AI heads, about how it might be a great thing for Curtis to head off for a bit of a loan and really establish himself somewhere and play a lot of first team football and become the player that we hope he could become. So how are you seeing him and his potential role for what's going to be a really busy period of time? And we know, from the report there, that he's not ready yet.
It's an odd one with him, because when he was playing I think it was still the under-23s back then, he was one of them that you looked at and thought he could take that next step. And then we had that Everton FA Cup game, and he obviously scored the worldie at the end of the game, and he feels like he's just kind of stagnated after that point. He's never really took that jump. Elliott's overtaken him. I think Elliott's 2 or 3 years. I think he's 2 years younger than him. He obviously went on loan to Blackburn, tore that league up. I think he got the most assists and whatnot in that league. Came back. The start of last season was excellent. Whereas Jones has just kind of been there. He never really got a run. I think he had the odd run when either Naby and Thiago were injured or Naby was out of favour, which has happened a few times. But I've got his injuries in front of me. He's basically missed 3 months. He missed about 90 days, which is about 16 games according to this, but it feels like that should be more.
It does. He feels like more. Yeah.
Having said that, a month now we didn't have a game, so that might help. But yeah, to miss 90 odd days already, and this one seems to be growing pains or stress. I don't know. I think it's Calvin Ramsey with growing pains or something like that. He's just odd injuries. He's never had an Achilles or something like that. He's always had an eye injury that happened in training.
He is the poster child for bizarre injuries, isn't he?
Yeah, he's like that. He's like that old classic meme, work days without an accident and goes back to 0.
Yeah, exactly that.
If we ever do an Amazon Prime documentary, that should be in the intro. But it's an odd one, because I feel like he has the talent to become, I'm not sure, a Liverpool starter, because we are aiming to be the best team in the world, but he certainly has the talent to be useful for Liverpool. But I mean, he's injury prone, he's inconsistent, and I mean, he's nearly 22, and he's basically the same player he was when he was 18, apart from maybe a bit more tactical discipline. At 22, you should be a starter. In the cut and dry fashion that is football now, if you're not a starter by 22, you should be looking to you're either in the Chelsea loan system or you should have been sold. That's how I see it. If you're 22 and you're not a starter for a club like Liverpool, I don't think that's going to change.
Yeah, that's my fear as well. I have to be honest. That's what I have in the back of my head is I don't know. I don't know if there is actually a solid future for the kid here, which is why I was kind of hoping that he would get that loan spell and get a chance to really prove that he is the player that, I mean, look, Christ, we've had several highlights, and I mean, he has got the lot in many ways. It's just stringing that together, and maybe there was times we really needed him to impact games where he wasn't able to do it. And again, youth and stuff like that you have to take consideration of. Look, it's going to be interesting as players make their way back into the side, and we do have that. We do have the fact that I'm looking forward to seeing an elongated spell where we have our new striker. Even if it is a difficult teething process to get him into the team, I'm looking forward to seeing, I hope, a run of Mo Salah getting back to being Mo Salah. That would be lovely. I do miss that. And I know it's not okay to say for the super fan Mo people who just keep throwing stats at you about how fast he's running or something. And I couldn't give a shit. Like, that guy is the best that we've had, potentially the best that we've had. And the way you can assess that is by getting important goals, because that's what he's been doing. And that's why I consider him one of the best that we've had. And I want him to be that. And as last season, like I say, petered out, there wasn't enough of that from him. And you can make all the excuses in the world. People did and people have. There was all sort of stupid takes from he's too tired to he's not trying a leg because of contracts. They're all a bit daft, honestly. Have you seen Mo? The guy is he's a physical specimen par excellence. He's fine. He just needs to get back.
He swore off pasta 12 years ago. he's willing to sacrifice it for this.
Exactly. So I just want him to be him. I'm looking forward to seeing the man on the opposite flank, Diaz, do bits as this period plays out. I have to say I am very, very excited about it. And it kicks off, guys, as you said, with this game against Brighton tomorrow. And again, like, if you're listening to this in the aftermath of the Brighton game, we're not going to spend too much time. I'm not going to do any great chat about it. But it is interesting. You brought up Roberto De Zerbi, who, for the benefit of people who are listening before, I'm sure this show will go out tonight. He's a really interesting character. Really interesting character. I think he played. He started off with AC Milan as a player, and he played a lot of lower league football. He played for Napoli at one stage as well, and then went on to Catania. But his managerial career is really interesting. Starts at Palermo, and it doesn't go well. I think he actually may have gotten relegated in that spell, and it didn't go particularly well. Then he starts with Benevento in 2017. He's appointed the manager of that lot. They have just come into Serie A. And of course, it's at this point, I think, that he starts to attract a bit of attention. And he would have been quite young then, because he's still only about 43. He's getting a lot of attention for possession football, attacking football, and apparently a bit of a knack when it comes to spotting a player and doing a bit of transfer wheeling and dealing. Then he goes to Sassuolo, where I think this is really the era which sort of cements him as, if you like, in this sort of, one to watch category, because again, their football gets a lot of praise. They get 2 consecutive 8th placed spots in the Italian top flight, which for a club the size of Sassuolo is impressive. And then he goes on to Shakhtar Donetsk. He definitely won at least one title with them. Something like, was it the Ukrainian Super Cup or something like that? And
I think halfway through the season, that's when it all kicked off. So I think he technically won the league, but
that's it. It's league by default, because as you say, he had to head off when
someone was being silly.
When things happened there with the invasion and stuff. So, I mean, it's a very interesting CV, and here he is. And I think an awful lot of people were really fascinated by this. And, if Graham Potter, so I saw someone saying Graham Potter's, gotten rid of all his sort of, what's the word? I can't think of it. What hipster tendencies. And now he's like, clean cut, clean suit wearing, kind of reinventing himself with a haircut and everything. But there's something a bit hipstery about this new guy. Maybe Brighton liked that type of thing. And, they have the potential of having, I think, Lamptey back for this game, Lallana back for this game. That'll obviously be a story in and of itself. It's an interesting one to start. And Lisa Marie, as you look at this run of fixtures, maybe this is the best way to do it. Not talking about Brighton specifically, but just let's take the next little bundle. So Saturday we've got Brighton, and then we've got this really interesting run where we go Tuesday, Sunday, Wednesday, which is Rangers, Arsenal, Rangers. And it's a really, by the way, 4 days of a wait then, and it's City at Anfield. So what a spell. And we have no choice, Lisa Marie, but to hit the ground running. We have to. If we don't, a lot of the things are going to fall away. For example, if we don't beat Brighton, I think it would be absolutely fair for people to say, well, okay, your league challenge now is 100% done. Whether people want to hear that or not, I think most people will start thinking that. And now it's about, trying to touch base again. And I don't think we can handle defeat there. I'll be honest with you. I'm leaving that to you in a second. You can tell me. And then we have Arsenal, who are, sort of favorite, everybody's new favorite team, and how wonderful they're doing, despite the fact that they haven't really had any stern opposition, I don't think. And when they did, it didn't go awfully well for them. But there they are, and they're a target to be shot at. And Rangers, who we will be expected to put away in both games, no doubt about it. They must be beaten in both games, because if we don't, there are going to be eyebrows raised about our potential to get out of the Champions League group. I mean, is there any game now that doesn't have everything writing on it? It's remarkable, isn't it? There's literally no game, Lisa Marie, that doesn't seem to have almost sort of daftly excessive weight on it.
Yeah, the month of October is going to be very stressful. That's all I have to say. Yeah, I mean, it does. It feels like we've got to win against Brighton, if for no other reason to just set us up for the rest of this month, because there's just so much riding on it. It's just game after game after game, and not just that it's game after game after game, but the importance of those games. Within the month. Arsenal, I think they're playing Tottenham tomorrow or this weekend, correct? So I think that will be a very telling game for them, because I do believe from listening to Dave on Two Footed and everything, they really haven't had. I mean, they've started off, of course, well this season, but they really haven't had any strong opposition, that they've been up against, I think, to date. So I think the Tottenham game is going to be interesting to see how they react to it. And hopefully they implode and they just can't pull themselves back together for next week. That's what we'll all be hoping for and moving on. Although I never want Tottenham to be successful, but there's exceptions. Yeah, but it does. The whole season almost rides on the outcomes and the results for this month, which is, kind of bizarre to say in October.
But it's not excessive, is it? Because say one of those games doesn't go well against Rangers, that the whole group is up in the air, depending on how other results go. Say, for example, we don't get a result against Brighton and then a reverse against Arsenal. I mean, like we're going to have. It's going to be like a fucking Russian novel. There's going to be existential angst everywhere. People are going to be thinking like, "Oh, everything's awful. What can we do now?" I mean, it's going to be on a level that the season where everybody just fell down half dead and we had nobody left to play for Liverpool. At least we could there was a rationale to that, and you could sort of lean into that. Well, we've been devastated by injuries. This is what happens. We should have bought more, but this is what happens. But if the results don't go well, with all these wonderful players we have, like some of the results we've had already, which should have been won, you're going to have head scratching on a level that we've never seen in the Klopp era, I think, Lisa Marie. And for that reason, I just refuse to even countenance the possibility that it's going to go wrong.
Yeah, this is going to be a whole new world for me if it does wander that way, because of course it'll just, for me personally, it'll be a very different experience than what I have really seen previously. I mean, of course, I know things weren't wonderful when Klopp first was managing the team, but I wasn't as invested and all in and paying as much attention. I mean, for the most part, I tuned into a game when I could, and I checked to see, they won, they lost, and moved on. But
yeah, but
for
it was
me personally,
it was trending towards wonderful. You had that feeling that it was on the
you
right.
could see that it was building. Again, from what I've kind of read, gone back and understand, you could see that it was building towards something. Whereas I have a feeling that if it, and I don't want to be all doom and gloom, but if we don't see results going our way this month, you have a feeling like we're coming down off that high. We're falling off the mountain. Back in 2016, 2017, we were climbing towards something, and it's going to have that feeling like we've hit our peak and we're coming back down. And I don't want that. I mean, I really think this team is too good for that, but I don't know.
Well, you know what? That might be the perfect sentence to end the football portion of this podcast.
I don't know. Yes, it's very
because I think it's incredible. It's incredibly apt. It might actually be a good title for the show as well. But with that, we shall because people were good enough to send in questions last week when we thought we mightn't have time for them. And as I look at our shot clock here, we have enough time to get through some of these, and I do want to do it. It's not some of them. We get through all of them. There's one of them I don't really fully understand. I think it might be a bit of a wind up, so I'll leave that to your discretion. But Adam last week asked this. He says, "Here's one for you. I've always thought Pep Guardiola represents." Or presents as a character from Russian literature. There you go. That's unusual synchronicity. He says he's the awkward, obsessive maniac, which is, of course, a great archetype. And he asks a question: what other football personalities seem born from the pages of literature? Lisa Marie, I'm going to lean into this one for you. And what authors do you think would have created them? So as you're having a chance to think, and just in the vein here of Adam's suggestion, I have to say there was a couple of pictures, one in particular of a very angsty looking Nat Phillips, and another one that followed up where he had a headband on him with, I don't know if there was blood on it, but both of them, he looked angst-ridden, stressed, emaciated, pale, and absolutely should have been the cover of a Dostoevsky novel for me. I always thought that. I was like, wow, that's what's happened there. Someone
has commented on that before, and it is absolutely very was it you? Okay.
Yeah. So I'm going now.
In case there's somebody else, I don't want to slight them. Yeah, but he does look like he stepped out of one of those novels. Not that I've necessarily read all of them. I've tried Anna Karenina 3 times. I know that's Tolstoy, but yeah, my Russian literature is pretty much based on what you read to me on the great stories.
Well, that's all right. That's all right. But if you're looking around at the various personalities on show in the football world today, is there anyone that's jumping out at you? And you don't. If nothing's come to mind, don't worry about it. I'll put it on the guy. God love him.
Well, what's going to happen is I'm going to think of about 6 after we're done recording.
Yeah. That's fair.
I mean, Graham Potter, before he kind of cleaned up a little bit, when that beard wasn't maybe as groomed or whatever, he made me think of something like out of a Hemingway. It just kind of that, fisherman something.
I like that, actually. Yeah, that works. That's a belter. We'll go with that. I like that. Guy, do you have anything to add to this?
I was going to go straight in with Sean Dyche in J.R. Tolkien or Tolkien books.
Sean Dyche. Yeah. Actually, doesn't Dyche look a bit like one of the lads who wasn't there a ginger elf with a beard who was quite aggressive? There you go. Yeah. Brilliant. Okay, wow, you've nailed it there. That's fantastic.
There's another clear one. Thomas Tuchel, and who wrote Hannibal Lecter?
Thomas Harris.
Thomas Harris.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect. This is that. Wow. We've absolutely nailed that for Adam. I hope he's happy with the answer there. The other question was from Nick, and it's a food one, so we're going to leave that to last. And then the third one was from Gotham LFC, or Gautham. I hope I'm not saying that wrong. And he asked, can we devise a rating system for top reds, capital T, capital R? And he says, is this maybe like the blue check system on Twitter? And I'm always reluctant to get into this top red, bottom red debate because
Okay, I'm going to have to confess that I don't quite understand that.
Well, here it is. There's a whole corner of Twitter which has gotten itself obsessed with who are top reds and who are bottom reds. In other words, who are the guys who are eminently positive all the time in an almost daft way, and who are the guys who are crying FSG outists all the time. And of course, most of us live in the middle, and it's a silly Twitterism, I think, if we're being perfectly honest. And it's because of that, I hope our friend won't mind me saying that we might just avoid the controversy of labeling anyone in that category in an attempt, if we can, to maybe lessen the discourse about it, because I just don't. It seems divisive, is what I'm saying, and
I agree.
It's used in a way, I think, to sort of put people down. And of course, I'm sure that wasn't the intention of the question, but here I am being all po-faced. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. Our last question is from Nick Turner, and Nick is asking us. First, he says, "What's the classic English full breakfast?" Then he added on, okay, what's an Irish one and what's an American one? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take Nick's question. I'm going to tweak it slightly for us to finish the show this week. And it's perfect because tomorrow I've been eating like protein heavy food all week and small portions and all this shit like I've been doing for weeks now. And I'm actually really liking it. But Saturday mornings, I have whatever the hell I want for breakfast. So I can't wait to have my breakfast tomorrow. I've decided what it is already. So I'm giving you this take on Nick's question. I hope you don't mind, Nick. I'm just going to tweak it a little bit, man. You have the breakfast of your choice tomorrow. What is it? What are you going to do? I mean, are you just going to have a bowl of sugar puffs, or are you putting on some sort of fancy thing? And the thing here is, don't try to impress. Just be honest. What is it you would want for your favorite breakfast? I'm going to get the ball rolling. For me, it's really simple. It's good sausages. I mean, good sausages, like properly high quality, high meat content sausages. So I like Cumberland sausages. So I'm going to have at least 2 and up to 4 of those. And I'm going to have at least 2 and up to 4 slices of toast. And that's it. I'm not going to have anything else with it except vats of really good coffee. That's my idea of a perfect breakfast. I don't need anything else.
Now, what do you put on your toast?
Oh, just small amount of some sort of there are a couple of nice spreadable butters that are not, they don't have that margarine taste. So there's one here in Ireland called Dairy Gold, and it has a butter.
Oh, yeah. You can actually buy that here. And
yeah. So that's oh good. There you go. So you know what I'm talking about. So that's quite good, and I'll again with a view to not destroying my progress. I'll try and keep that to a minimum, because what I do is I might have some sort of hot sauce or something like that, depending on the mood. So that's it. Really, really simple. And obviously I could go the whole hog, and I think this is what Nick was looking for. Like, are you going to have beans, or are you going to have tomatoes, or what are you going to do on your full Irish breakfast or full English breakfast? But that debate has been done on this show before. So I'm curious as to what your chosen breakfast would be tomorrow, Guy Drinkle, if you were, if it could just magically appear in front of you. What would it be?
To answer the intended question, black pudding is shite, so not that. Just to spark a bit of controversy.
Well, you've already triggered me.
Yes,
so
exactly.
See, this would have gone for years. This is why I didn't want to do the next question. This would have gone for years. I love black pudding. Anyway, sorry. Anyway. So I'm not taking your bait.
Exactly.
And what? So your dream breakfast tomorrow? What would it be? Perfect breakfast.
I have a couple options depending on mood. So if you're kind of feeling like savoury, I just like a bacon sarnie.
Hard to beat.
Yeah.
Hard to beat.
Brown
Yeah.
sauce, not ketchup, because I'm not 12. So brown sauce.
You're not 12. You're not 12, and yet you're referring to it as brown sauce. I mean,
what do you want
as
from me?
As an adjective, man.
How dare you?
What?
It's called brown sauce. What do you want me to call it?
It is.
I was going to say, what else is it called?
Exactly.
I'm just trying to wind you up. But
dare
okay,
you.
so you have a brand. Do you have HP or YR or which of them
Yeah.
you go for? Which one?
When I was growing up, I used to like Daddy's, but now it's just HP because I think it's just there. So
Okay.
Yeah.
So HP sauce and bacon sandwich,
Yeah.
or
I love a hot cross bun.
oh, nice.
Yeah.
First thing, for breakfast, a hot cross one. And do you have it? What do you adorn it with, or do you
just pissing with butter.
Can I use that as a
Yeah.
title?
Yeah,
Piss butter?
absolutely.
Wow. That is, oh man, that's fantastic. That is fantastic.
When you next do toast, you'll understand when you know what pissing is. You know.
That is marvelous. God, I fucking love this. Lisa Marie, you're
Okay, I have to ask a question.
yes.
I know I've been told this before, but I don't recall the answer. What is the difference between an Irish breakfast and an English breakfast?
There is no difference.
Okay.
Don't you do white pudding over there more commonly than what we do?
We do both. Like over
Yeah,
here.
it's black and white. Yeah.
The white black pudding, you'll have sausages, you'll have rashers. Some people do beans. I think the only thing I think where people get
beans thing is for me an issue. I'm sorry, I just can't eat beans for breakfast. But anyway.
You see, you've done it again. Nick's cackling away here, rubbing his hands in glee. I've tried to steer it away from this, and here you are in two
and
footed.
I've never actually
Ask the innocent American question. What is the difference? And you've caused controversy again, Lisa.
I'm sorry. Well, I'm trying to educate myself, okay? I'm trying to expose myself to different cultures and different, outlooks. But okay, so for me, my perfect breakfast is probably scrambled eggs with ham and cheese and spinach if I have it around, which I usually don't, with toast and probably jam on my toast with good coffee.
Oh, hang on. So have you built in a little dessert into your breakfast?
Well, if I put jam on my toast, who does? Yeah.
Yeah, but what I'm asking you is, 'cause this is highly controversial. Are you eating the jammy toast at the same time as your eggs?
Yeah.
Oh man.
It's kind of, especially if I've got ham and the eggs, you've got that sweet and you've got that savory. It's good.
Oh. I'm sorry. You've lost me.
Separate. That's separate courses for me.
That's.
Why not putting the eggs on the toast?
You might as well be. You might as well be.
You might as well.
Yeah.
Just fire it all into the.
You need at least a 10-minute. You need a 10-minute course break between stuff like that.
Oh, this is tremendous.
Of course, I'm drinking my coffee with cream and sugar, so you'd probably call that dessert anyway.
It's basically a milkshake at that point.
I didn't say how much cream and sugar.
That's true.
Oh wow! Well, I have to say this was far more illustrative and informative and quite controversial than I envisaged. But we should wrap it up here at this point because we have started to go on a little bit longer than I had intended. It's 1 minute and 8. Or 1 hour and 8 minutes at this point. So we'll wrap it up with a 70-minute-ish show. I have just one thing to say. Apparently it's International Podcast Day. I don't know what that means. But I would say to you that some people, to use an Irishism, do be making the podcasts. And if they do be making the podcasts and you like them, maybe let them know about it or plug that show for them and acknowledge the joy or value that you've gotten from it at some point.
And don't forget to thank Jake Humphrey for inventing podcast.
Oh, thank God he did. Yeah. Because we'd be lost without it. I would not listen to Jake Humphreys doing a podcast if you paid me. So on International Podcast Day, that would be my advice to everybody is yes, be kind and help out and acknowledge the joy that you've gotten from somebody's creativity, and don't listen to Jake Humphries. That's me. What have you? Anything you want to finish off with, Lisa Marie? Anything particularly you wanted to plug or?
I will be on Nina's show after the match tomorrow for Brighton. So
Great.
Listen in.
Tremendous. We shall do.
That's kind of it. Oh, and we had a Chinese takeaway last night, and here's my fortune.
Oh.
Be curious. Be curious always. Foreknowledge, I can't read, sorry. Foreknowledge will not acquire you. You must acquire it.
Oh, Jesus, that's profound, isn't it?
It is.
Wow. Yoda-esque. What about you, Guy? Anything you want to plug or mention there before we finish up?
Rate Don't Hate will be back. Jeffrey Dahmer's a fucked up dude. Watch that series, etc. That's it.
That will do. Culture all over the shop for you. Food tips, bit of Reds talk. And what do you want from a podcast? I have been Trev Downey. That was Lisa Marie Hanna and Guy Drinkle. Very enjoyable to talk to the two of them as always, and we will be back with you next Friday to do the same.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at AnfieldIndex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.